Hello, my name is Joachim, and in this video I will show you some of the new features in the latest release of Universal G-Code Sender. In this release I've been mainly focusing on adding support for laser engravers. I will try to show you some of those features, but I would also like to show you how to get started with a brand new machine. So let's get into it. Before we are able to use the machine, we need to install its drivers. So we can head into the device manager and just have a quick look. I have my machine plugged in. And depending on what kind of machine you have and which operating system you are using, this might differ. In my case, I'm using Windows 10 and my laser engraver from 2Trees, which has a CH340 USB serial chip. So we'll start by installing this driver. I've already downloaded it, so let's just extract it and go into the device manager and select install driver. So it's already found it here. There we go. And you can see now that the device has now been properly found. Next, we'll install Universal G-Code Sender, and you should go to universalgcodesender.com and go to the downloads page. Here you'll find the latest version. I've already downloaded it, so I have this zip file, and we'll install it. And on Windows, you just choose to extract it. And you can, of course, place this anywhere you like on your operating system. I'll just leave it in the downloads folder for now. So I'll go into the bin folder and just run the exe. And it's now up and running. If you like, you can go to the tools menu and from here create a shortcut. This will create a shortcut on the desktop. So just close everything. You have it easily accessible here. The next thing you want to do is select the correct firmware. In my case, my machine is running Gerbil and it's on this baud rate. So depending on what kind of machine you have, you need to set this properly. Then select the COM port. So I'll just connect. I can just double check here. It looks like it's got the right responses from the controller. When it's connected, you'll see that it's either in an idle state or an alarm state. And that depends a bit on what kind of machine you have. If it's equipped with limit switches, it might have homing enabled and will go automatically into an alarm mode, which requires you to either home the machine, this button will then be highlighted, or you can also just unlock it. If it's in an alarm state, you can just unlock it here to continue. Let's see if we can move the machine. So as you can see, it's moving. So that's a nice sign. But let's see if it's moving the correct distances. This can easily be checked with the setup wizard. So I'm going to start it and go to the next page. We'll start by checking if it's moving in the right direction. So if I press the minus button, it will barely move, but I can feel that it's moving in the right direction. And we can also test the y-axis. Okay, so this doesn't seem right. It's reversed, and we can easily reverse it by just checking this box and try it again. Yeah, it's working properly now. The next step is to check if it's calibrated properly. So I have this scale. Let's just reset every coordinates to 0. And we can, from here, move the machine and then measure how far it's moved. So if I move my machine to 10 millimeters, it was difficult to see. We can move another 10. So it should have moved 20 millimeters, but it is actually 15. So if we type 15 millimeters here, we can see that it should be 80 steps per millimeter, but it's configured with 60. So we can easily change these and update them. And we can just recheck, reset everything and move another 20. Yeah, that looks right. And we don't have limit switches, so we just leave that unchecked. And we don't have homing enabled. And therefore we can't use soft limits. So we're all good. The next thing I would like to try is to connect a gamepad. So in my case, I have this cheap one that I bought that is wireless. So let's connect it. And we do that by going to the Tools menu, Options, UGS, Joystick, and Activate. And we can see now that it's already found the gamepad controller. I can see that it is triggering on the sticks. So we can change the 0 threshold, just increase it by 1%, and we can see now that it's not activated. And as you can see now, the controllers are responding. So let's try it on the machine. The x-axis looks like it's working. So it's working, but it's moving in the wrong direction. So we can adjust this by adding back into the options and reverse the y-axis. Yeah, it's working fine now. Okay, let's continue with creating a new design. So to start with, we can move the machine. So we can place the new material. Okay, that's a nice place to start. I'll zero out the machine here. and then we can create a new design. And you do that by hitting this, and you get an empty canvas. We actually don't need the console anymore, so we can just hide it. It's now down here. If you want to expand it, you can just press this one. Okay, for our first design, I would like to just draw a small square. Let's make it really small. The position of it, we can say that its lower left corner should be at 0, 0. And the height and width should be 10 millimeters. So just uncheck this one to remove the constraint. Otherwise, if we change this, it will also change the width. So if we press that one, it's no longer constrained, and it should now change. From here, you can choose this new option for handling lasers. And from here, we can just bring this down, all the way down to, we can decrease the power, so the laser won't be burning the material. And then we just save this. We need to select a file name, so I'll just save it in my documents folder. And there we go. It has now generated the G-code, which is displayed here. The lines are now hidden, unfortunately, by the grid. We can just hide the grid temporarily. And we can see the G-code like this. So let's try and run this. Yeah, nothing too exciting. Let's do a bit more complicated design. Let's delete that one to begin with. And we can choose this option to insert a clip art. And this is a library with free clip art that you can use. I'll select this one, a banner. And let's change the size to, say, 80 millimeters. Sorry. I would like to have it constrained, so 80 millimeters, like this. And let's do a laser fill. We can also draw some text. We can write treasure. And select a proper font. Yeah, that's fine. And also do a laser fill. If we save this, we can now see the new G-code generated for it. So the yellow paths are the fast movement, and the blue parts are where it's going to engrave. If we zoom in a bit, we can see that it's a kind of raster. So this depends on your engraver, how thick the laser beam is. And you can easily change this by going down to this button and get these tool settings. In my case, it's actually something more like 0.8 millimeters. So just press OK and resave it. And you can see that it's much more detailed now. So now it's going to do a fill, but I also want to cut this. And I want to cut it in this shape. So what I can do is copy the shape, just paste it. Let's temporarily hide the text and also the original shape. So in this shape I can now do a break apart, and it will now break all these into smaller shapes. I'll just delete everything except the first one. It contains the outline of the shape. And on this I'll do a laser on path. And for cutting, I think I can do 6 passes using a 50% power output. Like that. So with everything together now, I think this looks fine. So I think I'll inactivate or hide the outline for now and just save this. So let's try to run this. I'll just put my safety goggles on. We can just check to see how far the machine will move. So this is the boundary of the shape. I think that's fine. Oh, wait a minute. We're using 100% power. That's way too much. Let's do something like 25 maybe. And we can actually also increase the speed. Okay. Now we're ready. Let's go. Okay, I'm quite happy with that, I think. Let's move the machine away a bit. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Then we can do the final path. Let's hide the others and we'll just do the outline. So let's see, it was 50%, 6 passes. Yep, let's run it. You know what? Hold on. Let's increase the speed a bit. Are we through? Yeah, we are. Yeah, well, thank you for watching. Hope you find this useful. If you have any ideas on improvements or new features, let me know and I'll do my best to fix them.